Board of Adjustments. Sorry, Mr. Valentine, I don't do it quite as tough as you do. I would like to ask all of you to please silence your phones and any electric devices that you have. You will know that any appeals that may occur because of the decision of the Board of Adjustments, maybe the aggrieved party may appeal that decision to the district court. There are speaker cards if you would like to speak toward one of the cases that are brought forward today. There has been a change in the amount of time allotted. This was done by the Planning and Zoning Board. So where we used to have 10 minutes for public speaking for the person bringing the case, it is now 5 minutes and 3 minutes for rebuttal. And as I said, that was approved in July by the Zoning Committee. We would like to ask, because we have more than one case, when the case is finished, we would ask that you leave so that the other people that are bringing forward cases will have our full attention. Thank you. All right. I am going to ask Helen. Yeah. Please, the secretary, read the roll call, please.
Mrs. Thomas?
Here.
Mr. Daly?
Here.
Mr. Blosh?
Here.
Mr. Glockner?
Here.
Mr. Swindell?
Here.
Mr. Sanders? Mr. Horn?
Here.
Madam Chairman, we have a quorum.
Excellent. Let us get a minute so that we can record.
How is this not?
We would hate for any of you to miss your opportunity for a television program.
Why is this not coming on?
Okay, do we have somebody that knows how to do this?
Usually,
I know usually. Looks like it's doing something.
it says system on.
We are required by the parish codes and regulations that we are recorded during this session so that the public may see. So that's why it's important for us, before we approve the minutes, to make sure that we are being recorded. We're not trying to take up your valuable time.
Why it's not coming on?
You may talk amongst yourselves.
Why is this not coming on? Why isn't it? I can't. It's not coming on the.
I don't understand that part of it.
Because usually that's what it is, to your feed.
There we
Oh.
go. All right,
Got it.
we are up.
I got it.
All righty.
Got it. Thank you.
We received the minutes from the July 2nd meeting. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If no corrections, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the July 2nd meeting? It's been moved by Mr. Blosh.
Now second.
And seconded. Thank you very much. All right. We have an,
We need to vote.
we need to vote to approve the minutes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Excellent. All right. Pardon me. Moving on, our first case of the day is BOA case number 2024-3881. Request by applicant in an A1A suburban district for an after-the-fact waiver of the required 50-foot no-cut buffer for 530-foot section of the north side of the property. The property is located at 82520 Highway 1082 Bush. The applicant and representatives are Ryan and Melissa Mitrick. And what are the findings?
The objective of the request is to allow for the driveway access to the existing single-family residence to remain in its current location, a portion of the required 50-foot no-cut buffer for a length of a property 50 feet past the driveway to remain clear, and the remaining portion of the 50-foot no-cut buffer of the property up to 100 feet, which was only underbrush, to remain in its natural state. There's no objection to the request for the driveway to remain in its current location, considering that the placement of the driveway was located within the 50-foot no-cut buffer due to the elevation of the land. Also, if you could look at the attached pictures, it shows that a portion of the area where the driveway is located was originally partially cleared in the past. There's also no objection for the waiver of a portion of the required 50-foot no-cut buffer on the north side for approximately 50 feet in length beyond the driveway to allow access to the rear of the property and to maintain the area in close proximity to the residence and the cabana, free from trees that could potentially fall on the existing structures. Note that the remaining portion of the northern 50-foot no-cut buffer, which was only underbrush, is planned to remain in its natural state to allow for undergrowth to take place.
Thank you. Who is representing today? Please come forward, state your name and your address and comments that you have.
Good afternoon. My name is Ryan Mitrick, the owner of 82520 Highway 1082 in Bush, the 5-acre property in question. A couple years ago, I had purchased the 5-acre lot, and then also I wanted to purchase the 5 acres to the north side that's in question. My mother-in-law purchased that temporarily until the build is complete, and then my plan is to rezone the 2 5-acre lots to a 10-acre lot. But for now, once we started building the house a couple months ago, we started to notice the elevation, or the steep elevation, on the south side of the property to the rear, and we flipped the entire housing plan. Instead of the driveway coming in straight down the middle on the right side, we had to flip it and now make the driveway on the left side due to the elevation problems. So now we're asking for that variance because it puts us right up against in that 50-foot buffer up against that north side property line, which, like I said, the goal is for me to own that by the end of the year, and then maybe next year rezone it to for me to own the whole 10 acres at the end of all this. But need permission to keep the driveway or finish completing the driveway as is where it stands due to the elevation issues that we have.
Thank you. Are there any, is there anyone here that has an objection to this variance request? If not, I'll open it to the board for comment and question.
I did understand a question. Excuse me, sorry.
Okay. Let me ask you about this. The request for an after the waiver of the request, what is that? Is that just a misprint, or am I reading that wrong? Because I'm not familiar
No,
with that term.
the property, it's after the fact.
Okay, after the fact,
Yeah.
waiver.
So,
Okay,
yeah, so basically, the clearing was already done.
okay.
And so basically they're coming back here to request to keep the driveway in its current location as it was constructed, and to be able to have an area cleared beyond the driveway to allow for access. And also, you know, the portion, the northern portion towards the back was cleared, well, only underbrushed. And then, you know, if I'm not mistaken, the intention is to just keep it in its natural state to allow for the underbrush to grow back.
That's correct.
Okay, I apologize. I just was reading that. I don't know this term, so I was asking
After
for
the fact?
clarifications.
Okay.
Yeah, after the waiver is what it says.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. All right. And so do we know what was taken down in terms of the trees? What trees or what was cut for that driveway?
Well, if you take a look at the drawings here, so
You can see.
some of the pictures that are shown show that at some point in the past, could have been, you know, due to hurricanes, some trees fell or something like that, that some trees were previously cleared. And due to the elevation, if you take a look at the pictures that are in your packet, you could definitely tell that the elevation
It went up.
drops.
Yeah, after.
And that's the reason why the driveway was relocated. Now, obviously, you know, this request could have been submitted before the clearing took place. But unfortunately, clearing took place, and this is why the owner is here to request an after-the-fact waiver.
Right, understand.
Can
Okay.
I add to that, sir?
Sure, go ahead.
So before purchasing it, the original owner of all that land, he actually had a lane cut right there where our driveway is. There was a natural lane already cut for access that I guess he patrolled his perimeter. So that was already naturally cleared out, and it still is going into the 5 acres on the north side. So there's already natural clearings in there. We actually cleared the right side to have the driveway originally, our original floor plan. So essentially, once the elevation was noticed, we flipped the plan after approval,
Got you.
which is why it's after the fact. So nothing of significant trees were removed from that front area. We've removed them from where the house is being built.
Right, in-
Yes, so.
Buildable area.
That's
Okay,
correct, yeah.
Got you, okay.
All right.
All right.
Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
When you decided to flip the original plans.
Yes.
Due to the nature of the topographical area,
Yes, sir.
was that presented to the parish as an issue that you needed to address?
I believe, unfortunately, no, sir, not by myself, not at the time.
So my next question is to the staff is, when they do the land clearing, does the parish do inspections of the land clearing?
No, we do not normally do an inspection. In this case, the contractor signed the agreement that the buffers were going to remain on the site. And maybe Mr. Mitrix can add to this. Maybe there was a misunderstanding in this situation.
Yes, sir. I'm here claiming forgiveness or asking for forgiveness on that. Just as a landowner, my assumption was I am going to own my mother-in-law currently owns the 5 acres to the north, which I'm going to be purchasing from her. So I may have, I guess, acted as if, this will eventually be my 10 acres, not aware that I should still maintain buffers between my two properties.
Understandable.
What's soon to be, but I didn't know the rule that I would still have to.
Okay. Is is the house already built and everything and move-in ready?
No, sir, not yet. Being built.
It's being built?
Inside, yes.
Okay. So we're in the inside building phase?
Maybe
of
about
the
a month or
property.
two left, yes, sir.
Okay. So my next question to staff is that once the building permit was awarded to the contractor, is there some inspection process that we make sure that the buffers remain where they're supposed to be?
I mean, we can make sure that the buffers remain in place, yes.
Okay. All right. I was just curious. Thank you.
And essentially where the driveway is actually going to be laid was already cleared. All we do is further underbrush it. It was already a cleared lane, so it's not necessarily any trees removed.
Correct, I
They
see
were-
that. And so your buffer on the south side now is how many feet?
South side is at least 100.
At least 100.
Yeah, I left double the buffer on that side to move further to the north side, as
Gotcha.
much as I possibly could.
Okay.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Oh, yeah. I mean, notwithstanding of the timing issues around this, traditionally we have approved these where it's avoiding the specific drainage issues on a site. So I'm just saying I'm generally in favor. I mean, there are some issues about timing, but that's why we have an after the fact fee that's schedule. It's a little bit different and all that sort of thing. So yeah, just wanted to point out, my main issues around the drainage and fitting that onto the site.
All right. Did you have a comment, sir?
I do, yeah. Look, I just wanted to point out that I'll be voting to approve this, but the reason why is I try to take the approach in these cases where how would I have voted, should this have not been after the fact, if you'd have brought this before. And I certainly would have voted to approve it just based on the conditions that you have in front of you. And the second thing is I hope you have your contractor pay the extra money that you're having to foot the bill for here, so. Yeah. He knows better.
Good comment. All right. Is there any further comment? Any further discussion? If not, I will ask for a motion.
I'll make the motion. Motion
Thank
to
you.
approve variance 2520, no, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong.
3881.
3881, as noted,
Second?
As requested.
as requested.
Okay. All right, thank you. It's been moved and seconded.
So, Mr. Horn,
Is he voting?
today, he hasn't been appointed as a member.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
I'll need a,
Yeah.
we're having we're having changes on the committee, and so we're making sure everybody is supposed to be approved, has been approved by the parish.
That's why I handed the affidavit.
Okay, so has he been approved?
No, he is an approved alternate, however,
Alternate,
once we
gotcha,
have if
gotcha.
Diana, if you welcome to correct me if I'm wrong.
No, he's an alternate, so
You can't vote, you can't. Okay, could it? Okay. Okay, so it's, okay, it's been moved and seconded. Let's vote, please.
All in favor, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Deviating a little bit from our normal, I need a motion. I believe that, Mr. Mitrick, you're going to also present the last scheduled, because y'all are together.
I'm just going to be here to speak on his, or with him if he needs me to.
Okay. Since the two places are right next together and you not having to wait through the whole meeting, I would like a motion to move this particular, which would be 3898, up to the next meeting, or to the next case. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. So moved. Do I have a second? Thank you. All right. So what we're going to do then is vote to approve that motion. Well, there we go. There we go.
I only have 4 votes. All in favor, motion carries.
All right, motion carries. So we are going to now hear BOA case 2024-3898. It is a request for after-the-fact waiver portion of the required 50-foot no-cut buffer on the north side and portion of the rear 50-foot no-cut buffer. As of August the 2nd, 2024, the zoning of the subject property will be Rural 2, Rural Residential District. Who will be the findings, please.
The objective of the request is to allow for an accessory building to remain in its current location within the 50-foot no-cut side and rear buffers as shown on the attached plan, and for the north 50-foot no-cut buffer to be replanted as per the attached proposed replanting plan. While the accessory building meets the 10-foot required setbacks from the property lines, it was constructed without a permit and within the required no-cut buffer. As per the attached narrative, the residence had to be located towards the rear of the property due to the presence of a stream crossing the property and the presence of a natural swale located within the southeast corner of the property. The accessory building was constructed within the northwest rear portion of the property due to the topography of the property. Should the board be in favor of the waiver of the required no-cut buffer as shown in the attached drawing, it should be subject to applying for a building permit for the barn and also replant as per the proposed plan, and the planting should be completed by November 1st, 2024. Should the board not be in favor of the waiver of the required no-cut buffers, it should be subject to submitting a building permit application for the barn and move the barn to meet the 50-foot no-cut buffer, and also submit a replanting plan for the northern and eastern buffer according to the below remediation regulations.
All right, thank you. Who is representing?
Me, Jordan Rivers.
All righty. Would you please state your name and your address, sir?
Jordan Rivers, 82496 Highway 1082.
All right, sir.
I wanted to start first by obviously apologizing for undergoing this without asking permission and getting a permit first. I'm obviously perfectly willing to comply moving forward and pay any necessary fees. And if the variance request is accepted, to also go through the, permitting process. I'm also proposing in the plan that I submitted to replant 11 3-inch Class A trees to kind of refill in that buffer. We built the house right around 2 years ago, and most of the clearing was done then. And there was a lot of kind of similar issues, a bunch of topographical issues that made us push the house a little bit further back than we originally anticipated. And when doing so, it limited our options for where we could put the pole barn. On the right rear corner of the property, there was a significant drainage swale that was considerably lower than the rest of the property that we didn't want to block by building it up and, building a pole barn there. The spot where we placed it was the highest and flattest point on the property. And then we also, during construction, something that kind of confused me and, made it to where I didn't think about it a whole lot a year later when we started to build the pole barn, was we submitted an engineered driveway plan, and our driveway was submitted in the 50-foot no-cut buffer on the right side of our property, and it was approved and there were no issues. So a year later when I started the shop, I made sure, that we were off of the 15-foot, and again, I did not know at that time that it was going to be enforced or that it was an issue. I think that's about all I have.
All right, sir. Pardon me, before we proceed, is there anyone here that objects to this? All right, if not, clarification on remediation standards.
And may I also say I did obtain a letter of no objection from the neighbor on the east and south side of me, and I believe Mr. Ryan Mitrick also agreed to sign a letter of no objection as well.
You have the letters with you?
I have, yes, from Mr. Bradley King. I have his letter of no objection with me.
Okay. Could you please pass it forward so we can see that? It's not in our packet. The remediation ordinance is part of the section of the new Unified Development Code, which was approved July 11th, 2024 council meeting, and it will be in effect as of August 1st. So I just wanted to clarify that for you in case there were some questions about it. All right. With that being said, let me let the let the committee read the letter.
Do you want to ask Mr. Matrix, the previous property owner, if you want to speak?
Mr. Matrix, did you want to have an opportunity to speak, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I have my letter with me, and I knew I would be here today, so that's why I didn't want to just pre-sign it and give it to him. I knew I would be here to speak with him. I do not have an objection to the pole barn staying in that back, I guess it'd be north, west corner or what have you, in the back of the property, inside the buffer zone, which goes into, not over my property line, but in that back corner. So I do not have a problem with that at all.
Right, if you would sign that letter so that we would have that for our records as well, please. And then pass it down. Okay, I will now open this case for discussion. Mr. Blosh?
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chairman. This is one of those type of cases that we really, as a board, have had a hard time for. It's kind of like the dog ate my homework. We've heard so many reasons why this has happened, why it hasn't happened. And myself, personally, I understand why you wanted to move it, but there's a proper way to do this. Let me ask you this. How far into the 50-foot no-cut did you go?
Where the pole barn starts 15 foot off the property line.
15.
On his side,
If you can move to the
25.
microphone.
Yeah, if we could hear.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's 15 feet off of the side that Mr. Ryan's on, and it's 25 feet off of the rear side of the property.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'll just say this, in the past, just so you'll know, we've asked people to tear down buildings for just this exact reason,
understand.
So because of the after the fact, I don't know that I would have voted for this to be approved if it had been an advance type request. We're trying to maintain those buffers for reasons. People all agreed in this parish that's what we wanted for the privacy and other reasons as well. So I have a hard time with this, quite frankly. And not to be, to upset you or make you mad, but this is one of our rules that we have a pet peeve with when people break them.
I understand. And like I said, there was some confusion as far as the buffers being enforced when I put the driveway in, it not being an issue. And then again, when we did do it, I've got some pictures too, but we built and colored the barn and everything we could possibly do to make it as least noticeable as possible, if any of that helps at all.
I have a question for you, sir. Did you submit a building application, and did you submit a planting plan?
So on the
Prior
updated
to
site
this.
plan that was requested, yes, there is.
I see the
location
one
of
that is in here right now, but prior to this, did you submit a building permit application?
For the house, yes. For the pole barn, no, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
And we built it over the course of probably a little over a year, doing most of it ourselves, and it was unfortunately kind of overlooked, which
I understand. Thank you. Okay, are there other comments from the board, please? Yes, sir.
All right, yeah. Couple of things. Thankfully, you're still within the required setbacks, so that's kind of a nice mitigating aspect. Geez, what was the other thing I was going to mention? Was there actually anything really cut down in that buffer, or was it just being built within the buffer?
So it was underbrushed. As far as any significant size trees, no. And but I again would like to say that all of the clearing that was done over 2 years ago, before we started the house and went through the entire inspection process with no hiccups or issues, as well as the driveway. And again, I just would like to say that had a lot to do with me not thinking about it when it came to building the pole barn.
Okay. Yeah, and then the last thing was, thankfully, we now have a remediation planting thing. So it's like we
Right.
have a way to adjudicate these things after the fact, whereas before we're a little less direction
Tied.
there. So that I'm very thankful for that. So thank you.
Okay, so the remediation planning requirements in Exhibit 3-4 is what you proposed,
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
Okay.
No,
No,
no.
Sorry.
those are the
No,
options.
so basically, the owner submitted a replanting plan. It's in your packet here.
Right,
And, this is why you have the two options, basically, is to approve where the barn would be, as well as the proposed replanting plan, or you have the option to approve the location and ask that a new replanting plan be submitted, subject to the new regulation that's
regulations.
currently in
okay,
effect.
got it. Thank you. All right, is there further discussion? Yes,
I have one question. In the mitigation plan, if we so see it, this is for staff basically, as in for planting these trees back into the no-cut buffer area, can we also levy a donation to the tree bank? That'd be for legal.
there's not a
Well,
class
no, we don't normally request to have a donation to the tree bank, because the tree bank is really in the ordinance. It applies to commercial
Commercial? Okay. this would be
development.
residential.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes, sir, I was expecting it.
And maybe this is for staff. Mr. Rivers mentions that the driveway was approved. I mean, is that the drive? If it was approved in the no-cut buffer, it must have come to this board previously. And
If I'm not mistaken, the driveway was moved maybe after the permit was reviewed from our office and relocated without our knowledge in planning.
right.
So due to this situation, I think there was a miscommunication maybe in the departments. That's why we're, basically just the request is in regards to the waiver or the reduction of the buffers in the rear and on the north side.
Okay. I mean, look, I would duplicate Mr. Daly's comments. Like, it's thank goodness you're outside of the setback, but this is a tough one. I don't know that I also would have voted for this. I would be in between had you come to us before. So I think at the current time, though, considering that your neighbors are both okay with it, and with this, considering the replanting that you're doing,
Right.
even though we don't really know what was taken down, if we approve this replanting plan, I think that shows some good faith effort to make up for the mistakes that have been made. So.
All right, if there are no further comments, I would entertain a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve as requested with additional requirements to submit the building permit for the application for the barn. That would be now in that no-cut buffer. And then also to submit a replanting plan for the northern eastern buffers that are consistent with the newly adopted remediation regulations.
Do I hear a second? It's been moved and seconded to approve this with submission of a building permit for the barn and to submit a replanting plan to the parish. With that being said,
Just to confirm, so you would allow, as part of your motion, for the barn to remain in its current location?
Yes,
Within the-
buffer.
Okay.
But to resubmit a replanting plan that's consistent with the updated remediation regulations.
Okay, so we're asking to replant, I'm assuming mostly the northern part, because the eastern part where the barn is, there's a portion of the property that was not clear because there's another branch that crosses
there's
at
a
the
stream in the
bottom of our
property.
stream.
stream is
Yes,
what you
ma'am.
So it's
said.
mostly to replant the northern part.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, the northern and eastern buffers, yeah. Okay. Is everybody clear on the motion and the second? I will call for a vote.
We have 4 yeas and 1 nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Matrick, for staying. Thank you, Mr. Ballantyne, for coming. All right, moving on, we will now hear BOA 3890, the request for a variance to reduce the required front yard setback from 25 feet to 20 feet and the required rear yard setback from 20 feet to 5 feet. In the zoning of property, it's an A4 single-family residential district and MHO manufactured home housing overlay. Again, as of August 2nd, the zoning of the subject property will be S1 suburban residential district and MHO. So, I will ask the staff for findings.
The objective of the request is to allow for the placement of a 1,500 square foot or 20 by 75 manufactured home on a 7,500 square foot property. The property itself is 75 by 100 foot in depth. And while the property is only, 100 feet in depth, no evidence or practical difficulty or unnecessary hardship has been submitted to support the requested variance.
All right, thank you. Who's representing this case, please?
My name is James Lindsay.
Would you please state your address, please?
I live in Bush, Louisiana, 81116, Highway 1083. If it would be all right, we have the next one after this, and it's on the same street. Can I do the presentation for both of them at the same time?
We'll hear the first one, and then we'll make a motion to hear the second one, but we will do it while you're here.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So, this neighborhood is in a typically distressed area. This block is particularly in distress. It is I basically consider it a one block radius that turns into an L. The street that's supposed to go through, Violet Street, doesn't continue to the south. It's the road has been built, but it does go on to the north. Those are the two ingress and access points to the street there. On the street there are several blighted houses and also an RV that has a yard that's unkept, that is kept there. I have some pictures of the blighted houses on this one block area, if y'all would like to take a look at them. If I could submit them.
Bring them. Yes, sir, you may.
Okay. Can I approach the bench?
Yeah. Wow, I gotta wear my robe next time. That's it. And my lace collar. Oh, wow.
Also on this block, there are no currently occupied stick-built houses. There are only occupied mobile homes and that RV currently. The mobile homes that are on this block that are occupied are currently slightly older and a little bit of a stress themselves. They are all the old-fashioned type of mobile homes. There, I have pictures of these mobile homes that are on that area there. Of those occupied mobile homes, all of them are facing the same exact way, facing the smaller side, facing the street, going long ways, back ways. None of them would reach the setback laws of today's standards, and we would like for ours to be able to match these currently occupied mobile homes that are there, that there's no stick-built houses there. There's no modular homes there, and it doesn't seem to be like there's going to be and on this block there. I have pictures of the above of those mobile homes. I'll give them to you in 1 second. As for as far as the neighbors for this one, there's only one house occupying on the next street over. It is an older stick-built house, and I've seen the back of the house there, which is currently being used to store. It looks like a metal pile for scrap and other random household things of need. So, and there's no windows that are visible out of the back of that house that would see my house at all. So it seems like the gentleman there is content with the way he has things, and I am with that. I have pictures of that here too, if y'all would like that. I have pictures of the home we have that's for this building site there, and it's a newer 2000. Can I keep speaking?
Yes, sir, that's the 5 minutes, and we'll give you 5 minutes on the next one, too. However, we have to stick with what the code says. So with that being said, I will open the floor. I will ask the committee for questions at this time.
I'd like to at least see that presentation of the home that he's required, that he wants to put on the property before we make a decision.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. It's a 2009.
You just pass it forward, please.
Yes, sir.
And certainly the committee has the right to ask questions to further the conversation.
Yeah, on the pictures too of the proposed house. Yeah.
While we're passing this, is there anyone here that opposes this particular request? If not, please continue. Okay. Yes, sir.
Sir, this home already been purchased,
Yes, sir.
and where's the location of this mobile home now?
It's on the property.
Oh, boy. So this would be an after-the-fact request?
We were a little bit confused about the.
We're not aware of that.
All right. This board was not aware that this was after the fact.
We were confused. We thought we had the zoning, and we thought that was all that we needed to have to be able to put there. We didn't realize that we needed the setback adjustment.
Who did you work with on the staff, sir?
Mr. Mitchell, Miss Aaron a little bit.
Okay. Thank you.
I have one more question. Was the permit issued for you to place the mobile home onto the property?
I'm gonna let Ms. Cohen speak to.
Yes, we
Ms.
did
Cohen,
have
would you please state your name and your
my name
address?
is Reina Cohen, and I'm the one who is having those trailers in that place.
Okay.
First thing I have to explain you that there are many families that there are father and the mother and the two kids, and so they cannot afford expensive houses, and they like to have a little bit more space. So when I moved the trailer, I didn't know about the setback, but as soon as that I find out, I went to the city and I request to get this, if you allow me to keep it the way it is right now. I went to the neighbors too, and I asked them, the neighbor in the back, if she feel uncomfortable with me to be only 5 feet away from her, and then Miss Anita is her name, and then she said she will have no problem. Also, I asked the neighbor in the front because we have we have 22 feet in the 22 foot in the front because the lot is 100. So I have 22, only missing 3 because I need those 5 in the back. I cannot make it more shorter. So we already have a list of 4 or 5 people that they would like to be living in that place, and we're planning to make it pretty. I like to fence all around so the neighbors don't be, because we only have 5 feet. I'm gonna enclose the property, and I'm gonna make it pretty, bring more lights because the street is very dark. Besides the cemetery, very near to the place, so it's really dark. I wanna make it nicer. Those 2 areas, and if you allow me, maybe we can rent this property to the family that has 2 kids, so they can have each one room. But I do whatever you decided me to do. If I had to
Thank you.
I'll do it.
When did you move this this manufactured house there?
I think it was about 2 months ago.
Okay. And is there
we cleaned the area. We cleaned everything because it was a lot of branches. We found a lot of snakes in the place because it was very, very bad. So
we understand that living here.
we cleaned very good that area as much as we can. And there was some trees that is almost falling in the neighbor house. We cut them, even though that is in our land. We went to court for them. I really love that place, and I want to make it pretty, that area.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments and your answer. Mr. Daly?
I think it's, we have a manufactured home that doesn't quite fit in the manufactured housing overlay area. So, so that's interesting. But, yeah, I mean, to me, I think that I don't really have that much of a problem with the front setback because it's pretty much it's the rear setback of only 5 feet that is more concerning to me. And in terms of and I know that the neighbor is fine with it, but just in terms of 5 feet being enough clearance for drainage and all sorts of all that stuff, I didn't know, and I don't want to put staff too much on the spot, but is there sort of a minimum preference in terms of would 10 feet be better than 5 on the back?
It may be preferable to, reduce the front a little.
Reduce the front to fit the back.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking, is that I think I'd be a little bit more comfortable having a 15-foot front and a 10-foot back, since we have a...
And Mr. Daly,
yeah.
I understand the logistics of that, but I think with the way the rest of the block looks, having it set back would make it look the other ones and get it off the
more off the street.
More off the street, and I think that's more beneficial because that back 5 feet isn't going to be used. So if it does need to be dug out for a ditch or so forth, it could be done, and that way it won't be seen, but it'll give the a little bit more curve appeal.
Is there a ditch in front of the house currently?
Yes, yes.
All right. Are there other comments from the committee?
I didn't realize this.
Mr. Blanche?
I'm just realizing this was a commercial endeavor. I was assuming this was a residence for yourself.
I did too.
And so to learn this, that the permit, well, actually the request has not been made really under the true terms that exist, which is an after the fact request. I know there's some additional fees that are associated with that. That's number one. Number two, I kind of like the solution, what you're talking about, Mr. Daly, increasing the rear yard. I think that's important. We need 5 foot is nothing for that rear yard, and this is going to run with the property, correct? So there's an issue there too. Future, growth, that this at some point in time that the neighborhood becomes more permanent housing. Then we've got 5 foot buildable area off the line. I don't like the idea at all because that creates some potentially bad problems, runoff and everything else that could occur. So I'm not in favor of a 5 foot rear yard setback at all. That just, to me, those 3 things combined, I can't vote for this, and that's just my opinion of it.
Mr. Blas, just to confirm, you know, this is a variance for this particular mobile home. In the event that it would be removed, it would not apply to a new residence, a new mobile home.
I thought it would run with the land.
No.
Is it
No.
true? Yeah, it runs with the land, doesn't it?
Once the mobile home is removed, then that variance
Okay.
just applies to that particular mobile home itself.
Okay, okay.
Is that because it's the mobile home overlay area? Is that how that?
Yes.
And you have to understand, this particular zoning is a little bit new to us as well.
Mhm.
So we're trying to do what we believe is right for the parish and for your
I'm trying to
your
do.
client.
I'm trying to do something very good for the
We understand.
the parish too, Mr. Blanche. If we were able to move it up 5 feet,
I'd feel a lot more comfortable
With-
with 10 feet than 5.
We'll make it
Yes,
happen.
Okay. That's the way I feel.
Are there other comments from the board? Yes, sir.
I'm along the same lines with Mr. Blosh.
Okay, yeah.
You know that, and I made this statement before at this meeting that we have to start somewhere. You know, we have this Unified Development Code. Every one of these in front of us are to apply for some type of variance, and although I applaud what you're trying to do, you know, it's not a great area. I drove through there.
yes, sir.
It's not great.
No, it's not.
But that's not enough. You know, like that's not enough to just allow this one to not meet the current standards that we're trying to elevate the parish to as a whole. And my gut tells me I think I'd be willing to compromise a little differently. If it were 10 feet, I would be okay with it. But sorry, I think 5 feet is just too close. So what? Just as what is the side yard setback? I mean, there are no issues there.
No, there's no issues.
Okay.
There is a possibility for you to amend this particular variance request and amend it to with an after the fact waiver, but amend it to the additional 5 feet in the back. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's up to him, but yeah.
I mean, that's up to you, of course. So you do have the opportunity to amend that variance request.
We would like to amend it. Ms. Cohen will work hard to get it done for the best of the parish.
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, those 5 feet that I have in the back, even though that I'm going to fence the whole property around, I still have to move it because my plan is to close everything with wood fence all around the property.
It isn't the fencing. It is the matter of the distance and and also what the code states and what the zoning calls for, and what you've asked for is a variance to the existing code. So we have asked the possibility. Now I'm going to refer to legal counsel on ability to amend today, or is there need for postponement?
We can postpone it so he does the after the fact application and then amends it accordingly, saying that he's going to move the motorhome
Okay.
as we discussed.
So we can postpone this until next month, and you can resubmit, and I'm going to make an assumption that based on the next case, 3891, that it's very similar
Yes.
to this. So if you would choose to postpone, come back next month with the variance as we talked about. I believe that we can vote on a postponement and then hear your case again next month.
Sounds good. We'll see you next month.
Well, I have to vote on that first. We have to vote to approve the approval. Okay, do I have a motion to postpone these two cases, 3890 and 3891?
Just a moment. So
I'm sorry, one at a time. 3890 until next month.
Madam Chairman, I move.
It's been moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Swindell. All right, all those in favor, please vote.
all in
Alright.
favor?
All right. On your second application, 3891, since it is very, very similar, I would ask for us to forego the formality of reading through everything and ask that perhaps if you would like to postpone 3891. And
It's on the agenda, so we need to take a vote on it.
so we're going to have to take a vote on that. Are you requesting a postponement
We are requesting a postponement
till next month?
to next month.
All right, sir. Do I hear a motion to accept the postponement of case 3891?
I'll move.
So moved. Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Would you please vote? Postponing.
All in favor, motion carries.
Thank you very much, and we'll look forward to seeing you next month.
Good luck.
All right. All right, now we will hear BOA case 3892, the request by applicant in an A7 multifamily residential district for a variance to remove 6 live oak trees. The zoning is A7 multifamily residential district, and this as of August the 2nd. The zoning subject property will be to medium family residential district. The findings, please, from the parish.
So, as you all may remember, the applicant submitted a request to remove 12 live oaks, which was considered by you all, this board, on June 4th. That request was denied, and the applicant has since submitted a revised plan. The revised plan is essentially the same. It's the same number of proposed plantings. However, the applicant is now proposing to plant 4-inch caliper live oaks, so 5 4-inch caliper live oaks, which will equal 20 caliper inches. All the rest of the proposed mitigation plan remains the same, including the number of sweet bay magnolias and the amount to be paid into the tree bank.
All right, thank you. All right, who's representing, please?
How you doing, ma'am? My name's Nick Yoyat, 735 North Causeway Boulevard, Mandeville. Appreciate y'all's time. Good to go, Ms. Carson?
Sir, you have the floor.
Okay, beautiful. We did hear this before, but I can give a little context for the new members joining us. So background and discovery, this project was first submitted to Parish in 2020 with the aim of developing much needed housing on the 15 acres in front of the two-lane primate facility. After 3 years of arduous planning and review, in early 2023, we unfortunately discovered 12 live oaks during a pre-land clearing inspection with Ms. Regan that were not originally included in the original tree survey. The entire development was planned based off the tree survey that did not include the live oaks. As a result, all parties, including us, the parish, the surveyor, the engineer, were all devastated and surprised. So what's the impact and hardship? The unexpected discovery of these trees significantly disrupted our approved plans, which we worked years to get approved and engineered with the parish, preventing the construction of at least 7 townhome buildings, rendering the project non-viable if the trees are retained. This has caused substantial costs with respect to both time and financial resources, investments from all parties, including the community and public resources. So efforts in compliance, we have spent nearly a year redesigning the project to try and retain the trees, because truly we didn't want to lose them, while still maintaining our goal of developing the site. Despite our efforts, it's clear that retaining even 50% of the trees makes the project infeasible. So in working with the staff, they've supported our proposal and administered the administrative variance allowing the removal of 50% of the protected species. They favored our mitigation plan, showcasing their endorsement of our efforts. Additionally, in good faith, in working with the staff, we requested that the administrative variance be applied to the lowest graded trees, Bs and Cs, and that we include the higher graded trees within our request to the BOA, ensuring a higher mitigation requirement. So basically, we left We said, go ahead, we'll knock out the bad trees, judge us upon the better trees, so we have to do more. So we want to do the right thing here. Mitigation proposal. In order to compensate the removal of the 6 trees, we propose planting 85 bald cypress trees, which are 2.5-inch caliber, 5 live oak trees, which are at minimum 4 inches. And it's worth noting that these are the live oaks that are going in are 200 gallons each trees, about 4.5 inches thick, and between 14 to 16 feet in height. We're also going to put 51 Sweet Bay magnolia trees, 2.5-inch caliber, which is 11 more than required. Additionally, we'll plant 32 variation of new trees and 95 additional shrubs, which totals 268 new plantings that are not currently existing today. So for 6, we're getting 268, including some big old oaks. We will also contribute $8,400 to the tree bank, which will be used for landscape and green spaces throughout the parish. This plan not only meets but significantly exceeds the required mitigation, which I think Ms. Aaron can speak to, enhancing the site's environmental quality and promoting sustainable greenery. So just to kind of underline the fact that we are committed to responsible development, we have gone above and beyond all requirements of the law by installing far more and larger plant materials than the code requires, donating to the tree bank, and developing this plan in cooperation with and approval of St. Tammany Planning. It's also worth noting that the installation of each tree will be personally overseen by a landscape architect. Community benefits. The completion of this project will provide essential housing, stimulate economic growth and job opportunities, and generate significant property tax for the parish. It'll enhance the overall quality of life in the area, providing families with safe, comfortable homes in a well-designed community. Denying this request would lead to further delays, wasted private and public resources, time, and possibly the complete abandonment of the project, depriving the community of all these benefits. So,
All right, is there anyone here that has reason to speak against this particular proposal in case? That being said, 2020 is a long time ago, isn't it, when you're working with this?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
will open the committee to question, please. All right, Mr. Daly.
Oh, great. I have 2 questions. One, the location of the detention area, that was based on the site topography and drainage issues?
yes, sir.
Okay, so that's not something that could be moved. Okay, and then this is more of a statement, but we received letters from the public that were emailed to us about concerns about, I think mostly process and following through with it. And staff recommended that we include contingencies if we approve about payment to the tree bank before a land clearing permit is issued, and that the completion of the planting should happen before the certificate of occupancy should be issued. So if we make a motion, I would like to have those included. So that's more of a statement.
All right, thank you. Mr. Swindell?
Okay, so I went back and watched the video from 2 months ago when you guys presented the first time. So just know that my comments are largely based on that.
Yes, sir.
And I'm familiar with this. I'm not just looking at this minute. I struggle a lot with this, and I've demonstrated this in my time on the BOA before I was reappointed this month. For a professional to miss this quantity of trees, and then you guys go through all of this effort is, I'm educated as an engineer, not a professional engineer, but I have no understanding for how that happened. I mean, you're talking some extremely large oak trees, so large you can probably make them out on an aerial view.
Sure.
And so I struggle with the effort here, and then a lot of the comments that you guys made at the last meeting, and then again you reiterated today, is that are based on it, almost to a degree, trying to make this board feel accountable for should we not approve the variance, have some accountability in the mistakes that were made and us, you abandoning this plan for something different. And I'll be honest, I think that it's not as much as I would like to see these townhomes instead of high-density apartments, I don't consider that a role of this board for us to consider that information as a reason to approve or not approve the variance.
Sure.
That's for other people, council members, planning and zoning, other people. And so then, I look at these questions, this questionnaire that you guys have to fill out. Does the variance present a practical difficulty or unnecessary hardship? We have approved removal of oak trees, I think on a much smaller lot we did maybe 6 months ago. They were trying to develop a much smaller lot close to the interstate, oak trees right in the middle of the lot. Made it extremely difficult for them to develop it in a business sense. I have difficulty answering that question in a positive way for what you guys are doing here. Especially removing all of the trees. I think there's a compromise there for you to preserve some of them personally. And then legal hands us today, which is great, this, essentially our rules as it gives us the standards for granting variances as the Board of Adjustments. And there's a line in here specifically that says, the purpose of the variance is not based exclusively upon a desire to serve the convenience or profit of the property owner or other interested parties. And honestly, that's what you're asking for. What you're trying to tell us is that you can't make this profitable in this sense if you leave the oak trees. And I struggle with that a lot. And I take what we're doing here very seriously, and I will not vote to support this. So.
I appreciate that, Mr. Bryan. Look, I want to make clear, we are definitely not taking a position on saying, look, if you don't approve it, it's y'all's fault in any way. If anything, truly, we've tried to, number one, we take full accountability for what happened. I want to make clear that it was devastating to find that. I'll explain a little more. From an engineering perspective, he had ordered the buffer survey, and only the buffer survey. And it's a massive site, and literally it took, upon my employment, walking, newly employed, right, walking the site with Miss Regan, and I was godsmacked when I saw the big trees. And that's when we spent a year trying to redesign it. Viability, I mean, certainly plays a factor here, but it's also, we have this 15 acres, we've been planted with it since 2020. We definitely will develop the site. What we want to do, though, is provide a site that really helps the community and not keep wasting the time of the parish, because we've all been involved in it for a long time. So if there's any way that we can change your mind, I think, not consequentially, but we've gone through and we're trying to pay the stupid tax with all the good faith effort here. We'd like to make it work.
Look, I get that, and I appreciate your comments, and I imagine that you guys are going to figure out a way to make this work, hopefully in some similar fashion to what you've got laid out here. But and perhaps the rest of the board is going to vote differently than I.
Sure.
But I just wanted to be clear about the way I was voting and why.
Understood.
Just as a comment, though, there were apparently a lot of errors made, certainly not just the Board of Adjustments, but the parish, and I mean, this is just one of those things that a lot of people didn't.
Oh, yeah.
So we understand that, these things happen. We've heard cases like this before. Mr. Blosh.
Mr. Swindell, I agree with you on a lot of the points that you made. Obviously, we are tasked with maintaining the standards of this parish and what the ordinances call for. But the reason we sit here is that not everything is vanilla. We have cases that just don't fall within those guidelines for one reason or another. Obviously, the hardship cannot be considered for a monetary reason. We all know this. However, when we're looking at whether or not we should approve projects of this nature or whether or not trees should be removed, and I'll be the first to tell you, I love the majesty of these older trees. I really do.
Me too.
And so it is upsetting to see that might be a possibility that these trees would be removed. However, we have to look beyond what the requirements are that are given to us by the parish. we have to try and use our best judgment to look at all of the elements of what might or might not occur. And I'm not saying that these gentlemen are trying to squeeze us, but knowing what I do know about the project and the potential for another project to exist there, and I think we covered this in the last meeting, that was about 40 additional units that will impact that area, I think, very negatively in a sense that, and this is, I think, is this, Talon, can you verify, has this been approved, this project, for the apartment complex? We were told that once before, and that's why I'm asking the question. I'm sorry.
Project has an approved set of plans barring the landscape issue. So the civil plans and, engineering and public works, those reviews have all been complete.
Okay.
And we have an approvable set, but we do not have an approved landscape plan because
Okay.
of this issue.
So, okay, all right. So looking at the alternative, and I don't know all the particulars of this, but I assume that there's some truth to this, that there is a potential for an apartment complex to be, I guess, fit into this parcel of land, which would increase, as I was saying, the density by over 40
Right.
units. To me, looking at everything, and like I said, I'll just say this: I would prefer to be able to save the trees, but when I'm weighing this all out, how does it impact the neighborhood, the traffic issues out there,
The drainage.
all of these things? I'm in favor of moving forward with the project as it's submitted, but there again, I say this not because I'm excited about it, but because I am a little bit upset that we do have to potentially sacrifice these trees. There's 12 trees that are going to be lost, and it's going to take a long time to come back to what these trees were at one point in time, what they were at. However, when you look at the mass of trees that he is going to be planting, I think to state that he's not doing this in good faith would not be very honest.
I agree. It would not be prudent.
So the only other question I had for you, because there was a question that, the 200-gallon trees, if you plant trees that are too large, I was told by your arborist last time I was here,
Right.
that there would be a potential problem. Have we overcome that now at this point, or what's the
Yes, sir.
issue?
So, as it was explained to me, I wish Eric was here to explain a little better, but I figured that might come up. The 2.5, I guess the concern for Mr. Glockner was we didn't want to put scrub trees, more or less. So I went back, I said, how can we overcome that? Because what he said was 2.5 caliber is actually ideal. I don't want to speak wrong, but he said they're ideal because they'll grow quicker. But what you get with these 200-gallon trees is basically a 4 or 5 year sprint ahead of what those 2.5 caliber trees would be in a couple of years. So we're getting some immediate gratification. What I say, they're like 14 foot tall. So you're getting immediate gratification while also not putting any kind of trepidation towards will they survive or not. This is completely approved and endorsed by our landscape architect, and we
Okay.
did that thoughtfully.
And
per the common
I
sense.
suppose that brings up another point too, because I would have to assume that we would want to put some sort of requirement that would require you to replace those trees of the existing caliber
Certainly.
if they don't make it. And I
Yep.
know that happens from time to time.
And
so.
we'd be completely agreeable to that.
Okay.
Okay. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
That's all. I got.
Mr. Blush, I just wanted to make you aware too, we have, codified language that says if any approved landscaping, within the approved landscape plan dies within 6 months, then the onus is on the applicant to replant. So that's something that the planning department would keep an eye on as well.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for
Yeah.
clarification. Mr. Swindell, I'm sorry.
For a while.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Glockner, I didn't see your,
I was just waiting my turn.
well, I apologize.
And I got some pictures and plans printed out for you guys too, if I got.
Being that I was a determined factor in the last meeting, and I appreciate your candor and your acuity to everything that I was saying.
Yes, sir.
The reasons that I voted the way I voted, because you was concerned about that, and I'm gonna let the board know that, is that to me, this is setting the preference of contractors coming in and wanting to do more to fulfill their obligations to, do away with these trees that we have in St. Tammany Parish. St. Tammany Parish is known for the trees, known for these oaks. There's a reason why we have the ordinance in place for these live oak trees. Secondly, there's always, when I make a decision, it's not for just one. I have several ways of making the decision.
Sure.
Secondly, my decision was because of the monetary gain, as Mrs. Swindell was talked about. That was one of my deciding factors also. You already have a pre-approved plan from the parish, working with the parish for this property, saving those trees, which are 5 to 6 large oak trees, not all 12. Is that correct, Ms. Aaron?
I just want to make sure I understand the question. When you say a pre-approved plan to save the oak trees, no. The plan that was submitted to us back in 2020 was not accounting for the oak trees being there.
How many?
How many were there? 12.
12.
Yes, sir.
So the thing is, you're coming in front of us for the 5 live oak trees. Is that correct?
6.
Six live oak trees. So to me, if there's a reasonable use of that property within the ordinances, saving those 6 oak trees, which you can always get a variance for the other ones, I'm pretty sure, through the same process you did before.
Per code, applicants are within their rights to remove up to 50% of the live oaks on the property. So the applicant is requesting to remove administratively 6 live oaks, and then he's coming to you to ask for a variance to remove 6 more, which means he's asking to remove all the live oaks on the property. Correct. And then presenting the replanting plan.
Correct.
And we did come with our best foot forward. So there was a part of me I wanted to come show y'all, 3D renderings of the big apartments that could fit with these oak trees in place.
And I'm a caveat on that also.
Yeah.
I appreciate that comment. I did drive by the area when I had time.
Yes, sir.
And there are apartment complexes as fashioned that you just spoke about.
Sure.
In that area.
Right.
Secondly, my personal thing is with the design that you have in place that you want us to approve today, where are all these kids going to play at? There's no playgrounds nowhere around that area.
So we've tried to utilize the big drainage ponds as I forget, not track fields, but recreational areas. I believe there's also a big clubhouse and a pool and all that.
Yeah, I'm talking about little kids with swings and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
We'd be certainly,
if
there's not swings on there,
families,
we can add some.
you want to have families there, so.
Sure.
So with that being said, whichever way it goes, I would, like for you to take that into consideration.
We'd be very agreeable to swing sets and stuff too. Seriously, we have tried to put as many amenities as possible. And like I said, I didn't want it to come off as, if we can't do this, we're going to do this. In my mind, the apartments are a subpar, product compared to what we have here. I think these are beautiful. We'll be able to, it's just a different type of development.
It's a great drawing. It looks like a great area around there. But as far as the rules that this board is deemed to go by, that's the reason I voted the way I did, and I will be voting that way again. Sorry.
Okay. Is there any way I could change your mind, Mr. Glock?
No, we're bound by our thing. I don't think you have proven, and that was the other thing. I don't think you proved at all that you have a hardship or I wrote all this down. Let me get my glasses. I can't always see.
A practical difficulty.
Practical difficulty. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other comments from the board?
I've got one more.
Oh, Mr. Swindell, I'm sorry.
Not to belabor this, but I think it's just to point out, it's on the onus of the property owner to establish what exists when you went through that process. The parish doesn't do any of that until long after they did their site walks and stuff. And number 2, I think as a board, this comment's really for us. I think we have to be very careful as we get into these. This is a good example. The way it's been presented, it's if you don't do this, then do that. And it's essentially we're making a choice, and I don't like making a choice if we do this or we do that. So that's not a consideration that I'm taking into play. I'm really just concerned about these oak trees and whether or not met the criteria that we're bound to
That's
uphold.
what I was saying, Mr. Bryan.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I didn't even put that in the letter.
Awesome.
Mr. Bosch?
Well, and I'll recap what I said one more time again. I don't know that this sets precedents. I think I always take a look at each case differently, because they are differently. They are not exactly the same. So I'm not concerned about precedent. I never have been. Number two, I do think you have to look at the reality of what could exist there.
I agree.
And I think you have to pick and choose what's best for the community, not what the book says, because the book should have said, you know, there are no exceptions to this. There's no need for a board of adjustments. We will not do this. So I think that we have to take into account, again, what is best for this parish and what is best for that community. I know, talking with some of the folks out there, they are not happy with the idea or the prospect for what could be. Not saying that it will be, but what could be. And so I don't know that I feel like you're trying to strong arm us, but I do know that, you know, we have approved that for a usage out there.
Yes,
If
Right.
I'm gonna, I think that we do have a choice to pick and to choose, and I don't know if we would call it a variance, but an exception, because we're trying to further the quality of life in the parish. That's my own perspective on this. I've got almost 21 years in experience in this, and this is something that I think that you have to look beyond just what the book says and use common sense for what are the values of this community. And, you know, my opinion obviously is going to be different from some of you guys, but my vote will be for this, because I think that it's a better project than what potentially could be there. And I think that you've gone well beyond what would be required for a variance. We're concerned about trees. Well, God, we're getting a bunch of trees.
Right.
And that's good. That's a good thing for that area. So that's just my own opinion. I do plan to vote for it.
Any other comments? I don't see any other comments, ma'am. Okay. I think that the thing that we have to talk about here, just as a carry forward, I have driven out there myself. I'm familiar with that particular area. I too am concerned about what is good for that particular area, and the fact that we need affordable, nice housing in all areas of our parish. And the word variance is just that we're here to, you know, not rubber stamp because the parish says you can't do that. But so we have to really, and I would ask each committee member to really think through what is best for the parish, you know, saving. And listen, I love trees better than anything. I lost a big oak tree because of the storm. But so with that being said, if there are no further comments, I will ask you to make a motion.
I can make the motion because I want to add those items. So this would be a motion to approve as requested.
Can you
Could you
please
turn on your mic?
request?
It's okay. Thank you.
Okay, great. Sorry. It would be a motion to approve as submitted with the additional requirements, payments to the tree bank prior to land clearing permit being issued, and completion of the planting plan prior to the occupancy of any building is granted.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the variance with the addition of additional requirements as stated in the motion. Thank you. With that being said, I will ask for a vote. It's moved and seconded. I will ask for the vote.
We have 3 yeas and 2 nays. Motion fails.
I appreciate it, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. All right. I know that the day is waning. So the very last today is 3897 BOA. It is a request for a variance to reduce the required rear yard setback from 10 feet to 9 feet. It is an A4 single-family residential district. As of August 2nd, the zoning of the subject property will be as one suburban residential district. Would the findings be read, please?
The objective of the request is to allow for the construction of a single-family residence at a distance of 9 feet from the east side property line. While the lot is triangular in shape, the lot is 12,581 square feet, which exceeds the minimum required lot size of 10,890 square feet under the A4 single-family residential district, allowing sufficient space to meet the 10-foot side yard requirements.
Thank you. And would you please state your name and address?
Good afternoon, Sabrina Perez. The property is located at 111 Short Street in Slidell, Louisiana.
All right. We will hear your comments, please, ma'am. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I'm seeking approval to build my house within a 9-foot setback on the right side of the property instead of the required 10-foot setback due to primarily an error made on the survey, as well as the hardship from an irregular shaped lot. To start with the survey company provided incorrect coordinates for the property boundaries, and as a result, the house plans that were developed based on the inaccurate survey are now misaligned with the actual lot dimensions and setback requirements. Specifically, the survey error caused the front right point of the property boundary line to overlap by 2.59 inches, causing the right property line to encroach the setback. As a result, the right back corner of my house is encroaching, or the proposed house plans would be encroaching into the 10-foot setback by approximately only 10 inches. Also, with the irregular lot shape, made it extremely challenging to conform to the standard setback requirements without sacrificing the functional use of the property. We worked with the home designer on the house plans for over 2 years, and the house plans were based off of the 2021 survey and 2022 survey that was provided to us. We revised the house plans at least 7 times to be able to fit within the 10-foot setback, to later find out that we were encroaching by 10 inches. The process, like I said, was already extremely difficult due to the irregular shaped lot. However, with the challenges that present due to the inaccurate survey, this process now seems almost impractical without substantial redesign and further delays. It's also worth noting that we received a no objection letter from the adjacent property owner.
Do you have that with you?
It should be in the packet, but I do have a copy.
That's okay. It may be in here and I didn't see it.
Okay. So granting a variance for a 9-foot setback will allow the project to proceed with minimal disruption and align with the corrected property boundaries. So like I said, it's just based on the basis pretty much of a inaccurate survey that we were provided a total of 3 times. In 2021 when I bought the property, in 2022 when we first bought the property and it was transferred to our name, we had it redone immediately and it was inaccurate. And then again in 2022 we had it done later down the road when we were getting started with the building process, and later to find out when we finished pretty much every plan you can imagine that the coordinates are inaccurate. And that's all.
Is there anyone who disapproves or would like to speak against this request? Seeing none, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's been a headache.
It sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
But I will open the floor for a question. Mr. Balash.
I don't want to ask you the name of the survey company, but good God.
It may or may not be in my submission.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'll just say that we have dealt with these sorts of issues quite a bit here in different and very similar lot design.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is something that's very hard to overcome. So I can appreciate where you've been through and what you've been through. I see no issue with this myself. I don't think that it affects anyone's life in Crossgates Boulevard to allow for that. So I'm going to be in favor of voting for this.
Mr. Daly, did you have a comment?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to reiterate, with the triangular lot that we often have to deal with that. Not often have to deal with 10 inches in one corner,
Right.
I
but
know it.
triangular lots is something that we've consistently dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Gochner. I didn't see you here.
It don't show up?
Well, you do show up now, sir.
Is this, just quick question, the surveys that were done previously and then discovered that the survey was off, was all those done by the same surveyors?
Yes, sir. When I bought the lot, there was a survey done in 2021. I went ahead and used the same survey company, thinking that it would make sense to do so. And that same survey company provided an updated survey in 2022, 2 separate times, and that survey reflected the same inaccurate coordinates, which we've used that to proceed with every other house plan that we move forward with getting in order to build.
Okay, I was just wondering how the discrepancy was found by the survey, because I'm
Yeah,
familiar with doing
so
surveys.
during the getting the builder's package survey complete by that surveying company, we got to the point where we needed to do the fill plan. And through communication with them, I provided the plot plan to them. They compared their fill plan to my plot plan. And in order for them to go out and do the fill plan, they sent their surveyors out there to update the survey for the 4th time. And during the 4th time, they said, hey, our fill plan is not matching your plot plan. And I was like, well, my plot plan was based off of your first survey. And after back and forth, I think I provided the email correspondence in my attachment. It was actually my home designer that did our house plans that found the discrepancy after inputting their data into his system. And it showed at the bottom right corner an overlap of 2.59 inches. So it decreased the angle of our lot, which then pushed a corner of our house into the setback by 10 inches.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that information, because I know, like, a lot of times surveys, they're not always accurate. And according to my constituents with the odd shape of your lot there too, and just being only 9 inches or 10 inches or what have you, I don't see anything wrong with the variance being submitted.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Any other comments? I will entertain a motion.
I motion to approve as requested.
All right, I have a motion to approve the variance as requested. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll now take the vote, please.
All in favor, motion carries.
Thank you.
Just make sure it doesn't go 10.5 inches.
Well, I requested an extra foot setback, so hopefully our 10 inches, it gives us a little 2-inch of wiggle room.
Thank you. I'm sorry you've had such
Thank
an
y'all so much for
ordeal.
your time.
All right. Let me go back to my agenda. Do we have any old business? I think we do have new business. We have, Mr. Swindell, you were appointed in June? Yes. All right. July meeting. Well, welcome back. We're glad you're here. And we have a new alternate. Yes, sir. Could you introduce yourself?
Jason B. Horn.
Thank you, Mr. Horn. Okay, welcome. Where are you from, sir?
I'm from Slidell.
Oh, good.
I was previously on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Oh, I knew you looked familiar.
I sat in that seat over there.
I thought you looked but I didn't know if you were a famous movie star that wanted to give service or, well, welcome. We're glad to have you. It's about the same, exactly.
In the parish. I'm a business owner also.
I knew I had seen you before, but I wanted clarification just for the rest of the board. So welcome. We're delighted to have you here. Is there any other new or old business?
Yeah, I had a question about the 5 minutes. That was the 10-minute to 5-minute.
I asked Kellen that.
No, it's the new UDC. It changed it. The parish council changed it for all the public meetings.
Which, and I was asking our legal, that makes it sort of complicated when they're trying to give us things. That sort of cuts into their time. And then, so that one time was a little bit awkward, but because of the two being together and he was going to come back anyway, it was easier. But that is going to be a
Is
difference.
there no way that we can, like, set our own rules? I mean, we can...
I don't know.
We'd have to change them and have the parish council change them, so.
I almost think it's
what was
kinda
the
crazy that
reason?
This guy's got a simple case,
Right.
and he's
Yeah.
taking 5 minutes. I mean, if we got a complex case, this is not going to be good.
Well, exactly. I can think of 3 or 4 that went on for about 20, 25 minutes,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
so.
Planning and zoning.
Is
I
there
would
an-
like to maybe look into making a request that we
Yeah.
can,
that we can
grant
use our own
additional-
discretion.
Right, use our discretion and make,
I'd rather us ask them pointed questions about how we make our decisions rather than hearing the narrative about all the background.
So what I'm hearing you say is you like the 5 minutes and then we ask the questions so that they have to answer the questions.
Because a lot of it's background that, like, it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to say.
Well, there's no limit on our time.
But
then.
it seems
Yeah.
like we could vote to extend. I don't know.
I would think that if we went to the council and just said we would like,
The leverage to be able to do that, yeah.
Or we could just ask our question, please expand upon.
or maybe we just say, oh, they went 8 minutes, we beg forgiveness instead of permission. I don't know. Kidding that. I'm talking about, no, we definitely would have to do it appropriately.
I have a suggestion if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
Just advice.
Yes, sir.
What I've witnessed in the other meetings is that when they are handing something out, time is paused.
Yeah.
Because
I
nothing's
thought
happened.
that
That's one thing.
would
The
be
next
more
thing is when the board, when we're speaking, it's not on their time. So
No, that's
if we
correct. That is
utilize,
not.
if we utilize our time to ask the question,
Right.
they can respond to that without the limit on the time because it's our time.
Right. And that's sort of what we did today, you
Yes.
know, because we did have questions.
And that's how you get around the
Yeah,
limit.
To me, my own personal, I want as much input as I can possibly get on both sides.
me too.
And to cut it off, we might miss something that's very important. You know,
The other thing
that we
too is
covered.
3 minutes for a rebuttal is a really short amount of time. If it is, particularly, as y'all know, sometimes we have like an entire audience that are rebutting a request, and so. who
And I will say this
You have 5
respectfully
people that
speaking.
get, 45 seconds each.
Respectfully speaking, when you have someone that has a speech impediment, and that we witnessed that today.
Yes, we
The
did.
guy, one of the guys that came up had a speech impediment that hurts on time. So
Right.
as board members, it's kind of like our duty to re-ask what was already answered to allow more time to go
Correct.
if we see that needs to be done.
Just as a point of clarification also, it's the 3 minutes that is for rebuttal. You know, in the event that there's no one in the audience to rebut, this
Right.
time can be used for them to continue their
Yes.
presentation.
Now that I did not know.
Because,
Yes.
I did not know
I mean,
that.
it's not like
If there's no
there's
objection.
anybody to rebut, so if you say, well, you can ask
We're
a couple
giving you
of
8
questions after the
questions.
5 minutes, and then if they want to move into their rebuttal, if they feel that there's additional information that needs to be said.
Okay.
And
All right,
is it,
we'll-
is it
we'll have
also
legal
true that
look into
each
that.
individual member could also, if they feel that they need more information, can ask the person presenting or a rebuttal to expound longer?
Yes, if you're
you
asking
just ask
as
the
a
question.
committee member, absolutely,
so-
that you are, it's your time.
I think we
It's
keep
the,
it-
it's the
keep it
Board of
like it is,
Adjustments
if you
time,
wanna
not
have
their
it
time
Go
to
longer
present.
and say, hey, can you expound on that, please? Give me a little more information.
You know, I was a debater in high school and college, and it was very well, it was timed, but there were many times when there was exception to rule and all of those kind of things. So I think, we're not so stiff here that we can't let them go an extra 30 seconds or so.
And just to confirm with legal, when an alternate is not appointed as a voting member, do they have the right to speak or just to or ask questions?
I'm gonna look into that too.
Okay.
I think it's
You
important.
know, I'm like sitting here
There
like,
again, I think that there's a lot of information that can,
Right.
when you're spitballing issues,
I'm
I mean,
sitting
you don't
here
know where the
watching
idea is going to come
a
from.
tennis
and
match.
Someone that's been gagged,
When I first started as an alternate, and I was an alternate for 2 years, we were allowed to ask questions. And so, but clarification of that then came down, no, be quiet, Christy, which we know is impossible. So.
But the argument is he
But-
can walk out into that audience and ask a question. So why
Exactly.
not here?
Yeah. So I agree, and we would ask you to please look into that. Thank you.
it's my
All
first
right.
time being an alternate, so I did not know.
It's perfectly okay. Is there any other new business? Then do I have a motion to adjourn? So motioned. We are adjourned.
I just want to let y'all know, because